We will call the Lincoln City Council regular meeting to order. Today is Thursday, March 6th, 2025. It is 6 p.m. And we have Pastor Kevin Nelson from East Lutheran Church. Come on.
This is a reading from Psalm 51. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth will declare your praise. For you have no delight in sacrifice. If I were to give a burnt offering, you would not be pleased. The sacrifice acceptable to God is a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise. Let's pray. Lord God, we pray that you would put the words in the mouths of all who speak this evening, that they may speak truth, justice, love, and kindness. They would put your spirit within us to turn us away from our sinful actions, our deceitful lives, and put contrite hearts within us. Because you, O Lord, desire that more than any other sacrifice we can make to you. We pray this in your precious and holy name. Amen.
You can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Shoemaker.
Here.
Artavia.
Here.
Johnston.
Here.
And Mayor.
Here. Number 5 on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to strike number 12. Mr. Chief, on that part.
A second motion.
Okay. We have a first by Councilman Shoemaker, second by Councilman Bjornstad. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I guess I could have included this one too. I'd like to amend the agenda item number 8 to read Pavement Management Program handout or SEH. I'll second.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
You
Okay.
proposed amendment.
I'll second.
First by Councilman Bjornstad, second by Councilman Shoemaker. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And so moved. Next, we will have public comment. Anyone who would like to make public comment, please come to the podium. State your name, and remember, it does have to be on the agenda.
So, well, I was wondering if there'd be some time when I could address the city commission on specific, what's going on. And,
Is it on the agenda, sir?
no, I don't know anything about your agenda. Would I have to put, be able to speak on your agenda?
If you ask to be on the agenda, unless it's something that's currently on the agenda.
Well, could I put it on for a future agenda then? Okay. All right.
After the meeting, or that would go to.
Oh, we don't do Amanda.
If you want to talk with me after the meeting.
Well, I have no reason to be here if I can't do this now. So,
If you'd like to,
How about like, are you going to email me? I can give you my email address.
who's the man? Is she the one that works in the office here?
No,
She's
she's
the
the council.
president of the council. But she's out.
Does she work in the office?
what's,
front here?
can I get your name, sir?
James Sauter. It has to do with annexation,
Sauter.
SAUTTER. It has to do with the annexation of the mobile home park when they annexed it in the city of Lincoln.
Okay.
And that's what it's in regards to. And also, basically, that's it.
Okay, and we'll get that on the next agenda. The meeting is March 20th.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, Thank you. Second call for public comment. And third and final call, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7, the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, we have the February 20th minutes and the January statement.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
First by Councilman Bjornstead, second by Councilman Shoemaker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. We will carry on. Old business number 8, the pavement management program discussion. Oh, I just changed that. I'm sorry. Pavement management program handout, SEH.
Evening, Mayor and council members. So I'm Matt Scheibel from SEH with Marchick again. At our last meeting, the council had requested additional information on the pavement management program. So we provided that to you in a packet, and I guess just some further discussion on that. We had met with some city individuals to talk about the pavement management program as a benefit to the city. A little background on that is it's basically a program to document and record the condition of roadways in order to help with city planning so that you can be inputting information into your system regarding the condition of the roads, your maintenance programs, the capital improvements that you do to roadways, and a way to basically manage your roadway system for planning and for future maintenance items. So we had put together that information for a proposal, and from the conversation with the city, and we presented that at the last commission council meeting. So this packet that we put before you is kind of a follow-up on that with quite a bit of information. There was a lot of information emailed, so that's been summarized into the packet. You can see that looks something like this with the slides. And then you had asked also for some examples of other programs that you may use, the paver program, what a report looks like, what kind of data is generated. So there is quite a bit of paper in there to show you what that would look like. Some different reports. And in addition, on the other side is an email that Loretta had sent with quite a bit of information, and that's really to show you basically the data output that you would see from a paper program from inputting that information. So, and again, we had put this together in consideration. Well, I guess in the beginning we discussed that there are several different ways you can go about this. So we had asked for some guidance from the city on exactly what system to use, how to show this. I mean, you could go with something that's as easy as a GIS mapping, where you're ranking it from 0 to 5, and it's just a visual inspection, a lot lower costs. You could get into a very asset management program type, where you're actually managing multiple assets. That's also handling your roadway items. And we had landed in the direction of this paver program, which is basically a program that's maintained by a few different universities, low cost program, but it takes a lot of data to input it. So that was the proposal that we sent you for consideration at the last council meeting. After going through all that and providing this information, I guess we look at this as just a way to help the city plan for the future. We need to know how to budget. We need to know how to be accountable to the things we budget for, and that was what this was intended to be. We put this together with a cost that was a not to exceed but hourly, so that we could be working with the city, as it is kind of a dynamic item, depending on what you choose, what scenarios you'd like to run, what kind of capital improvement information you'd like to see. It'll vary what you would see as a potential cost. So we put it together with a little bit of open-endedness to be able to work alongside the city with data gathering and input to generate that potential outcome of a pavement management program with a report and the capital improvements that would go behind it. So Now, after all that, I think that there's been a considerable more amount of changes and discussion on it, which is great. But I know on our side, after discussion, we kind of thought that if the city was going to go towards like an RFP for a project like this or even bidding it. I guess our thought was to help the city as best we could. And that whether that is going out to RFP for bidding it or to just direct select, whether it's SEH or a different firm, we just think that this is a great program for the city, no matter who you choose or how you choose. So we think that in the interest of the city, again, whether it's SEH or a different firm, I guess our opinion would be to pick one. It could be a very low cost program. It's up to the city to decide exactly what those are. And I guess we just wanted to help initiate this for the city. So again, whoever it is that you would like to go with, I guess our recommendation is just pick something to go with it. It helps save city costs, city time. And just to initiate a program to help with the capital improvements of the city in regards to the streets. So you have a planning item that you can put together along with public works work on doing sewer videoing and things like that, where you're trying to plan all of your projects to go into one project. So you're not, I think last time we used the example of not redoing a roadway and then coming back a few years later and having to rip it up to redo pipes. You have a part of it, which is this paper program, plan for the future. A lot of the stuff is starting to reach its age. We know that there's a lot of streets in the city that could use some attention, and that was the initiation of this. So, I don't know if there was specific items of this, rather than I'd be happy to answer any additional questions. Again, we've been asked to provide additional examples, and that is what's before you.
Any questions from the council?
I do have a question. I know you said that like your original proposal with that 45,000, that got to 45,000. That was kind of an all-encompassing price that you were looking at. And then just recently you had discussions with public works director to find out where the public works department could help cover some of the procedures. Is that 45,000 still what you feel would be like an accurate ending number, or do you believe after discussions and find out where our public works department could help out, that possible come down some?
Yes, definitely. After discussions with the public works director, it was definitely there's a lot of improvements or areas that public works could help. So again, we put this together with I don't want to say not a lot of guidance, but there wasn't very specifics, and so we had tried to do our best to put together as you had mentioned, an all-encompassing, so that there wouldn't be change orders or something that would come trying to request additional funding. It was more of like, this is the maximum we could possibly see this going. But depending on what was provided, that's why we left it hourly, is that it would really just be the hours spent on whatever was requested by the city. Knowing that this might be a little fluid and dynamic and exactly what the outcome is. Again, things like your scenarios, scenario planning about how much money you're spending on maintenance versus capital improvements each year. If that's a set number, then you don't need to run a bunch of scenarios. Maybe that limits your capital improvement outputs. So, I mean, all that could definitely change the hourly need for that. So yes, after discussions, at least on the front end, of the stuff that public works could provide right away, it definitely lessened it. On the back end of it, depending on exactly what the city would like, which we put in the original proposal was, running a certain number of scenarios, a certain number of capital improvement outputs, that could all change.
You never answered this, but the paper program or the proposal was just for the streets, correct? But the paper program could also encompass future sewer projects?
No, it is a program that's very dedicated to streets, so it is a planning aspect for streets. Basically, you're going out and using national guidance on how you are rating the different cracks and what you're seeing in the visual side of the streets, ranking it so that you can understand exactly what your rating is. So, below 50 might be considered a failing road. We want to be cleaning up above a 70. That's considered like a decent road where you're just doing maintenance items, but it is a street program. It was just the outputs from it and the data that you can put into a planning document out of the paper program allows you to look at the different costs. Like say you put in X amount of dollars, what could you get? If you put in more, what would you get? And so those would just be used in conjunction with your planning for other underground facility groups. So it wouldn't encompass those.
We're talking to public works about, canalish and sewers and seeing what potential problems may lie. Is there a separate program that or sewer maintenance? That's this. Nothing is over budget. Pouring maintenance here, this road coming through to repair. Let's do it. Before we do it. Is there another program for sewers?
Yeah, they make programs that are more like an asset management for cities where you got your pavements, your utilities, your street signs, your striping, pavement markings, things like that. So there's different programs, and this was just one program. It's not a program that's out to make money per se. It was initiated by the Corps of Engineers, and it's run by universities, so it's more of it's not a private, private firm that's holding a license for something like this. So that's why it's just we've at our company we've seen it used on a lot of municipalities. It's what Bismarck uses, is what the MPO I think uses. I know other larger cities in North Dakota are using it as just a program that you can import your data and generate data-driven decisions from.
And to address that just a little bit, Councilman Shoemaker, the city does have a capital improvement plan software that they do. So that, and it's more of a financial plan for some of those activities. So just, I didn't know if you were aware of that or not. Right, anything else?
Mayor, are we able to answer, ask any questions at all? Of this?
Sure.
Go.
Oh, my name is Terry Whale, and I just have a question about you said there's a paper was the name of the program. Do you know, does that use deterioration curves for the life of a pavement or something else that would allow the city to optimize the expenditure of funds? For instance, in 10 years, if you have an end of life or a deterioration curve that shows a 2-inch overlay will last 15 years, they can optimize that particular program and their streets to create a list of potential projects in the future. Or does it just or is it just run off of information that's fed into the system, such as paper condition?
It does have quite a bit of data in it. So one like some of the examples you can see in your packet there would be where if you left it alone or if you were doing certain maintenance items, it will give you graphs and curves about exactly like how different maintenance items might help, like a chip seal versus a crack seal, or doing an edge milling overlay versus a full reclamation or something. It does project a lot of that stuff out.
Is there any historical data that's provided, such as depth of the existing asphalt, so that if you plan a 2-inch mill and overlay, you don't come in and you have 1.5 inches asphalt, now you're down to the
right.
base
And then
all of a sudden.
the equipment's breaking, And that's where the part that we've worked with Public Works was, is that you want to import a bunch of that data. So we included a bunch of time, the front end of this, to actually import as much data as we could about the existing roadways. The pavement thickness, the base thickness, if there is base, a lot of those edge train type conditions, you know, and like, yeah, exactly, when the roads were paved and installed, so all that data would be imported. That's where working with Public Works, we were seeing potential to, you know, we weren't sitting there collecting some of that information with Public Works, and they could just provide all that, we could see. So definitely want to take that into account. That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
If there's nothing else with number 8, we will move on to number 9, RFP discussion for the pavement improvement CIP plan. We have a couple of options at this point. I think we've got obviously the RFP, open bid process. Both of those come with additional expenses between our engineer, the attorney fees, posting it, and that sort of thing. And then we have selecting the proposals that are in front of us. Now, on my end of it, SEH created the proposal for us. They came and they met with Councilman Bjornstead, Public Works Director Schutt, myself, had done the legwork on this. You know, they came and presented last week. They provided more of the information that we have, and they've been just a great asset, a resource for the city in providing direction. And I guess I would like to see their proposal accepted tonight. But because they have already done so much of the legwork to get this through. I understand we have another, so I'm gonna leave it council. What are your wishes at this point? I think we've got 3 options.
I guess my opinion on it is, I agree. I feel like SDH has done a lot of good work, put a lot of data together for us. Some people might already be aware of how this stuff works, just through history of working with the city. This is all a lot of work that they put forward. And I agree that they set it up in a way to make it very understandable, how beneficial it is for our city. I think my only concern is regarding the price on it. If you would be required to have an RFP, and no, Attorney Rockenby had mentioned that this could potentially be something that's specialized enough that RFP required for it. I think if we feel that it is safe for that, I wouldn't have a problem with people investigate shape on this.
Attorney, would you?
Kind of throwing you under the bus.
No, I was actually anticipating the question. So the default under the ordinances is for an RFP if the threshold amount is met. If the threshold amount is met. But the ordinances have an exception for what are defined as non-competitive contracts. And there's a definition that includes professional services or other services where the council believes that going to the open market and doing this process is appropriate. So, and I don't know that under your ordinances, I don't know that it's a legal question as to whether it falls within the non-competitive definition of the ordinance or not. I think it's a question for you to decide. So, what I would suggest is if the will of the council is to treat this as a non-competitive professional service, that be part of the motion. So, for instance, the motion could be to accept the proposal by, that's been presented as a non-competitive, vendor. And then, I think that would take care of the kind of bidding.
So,
Was there
is there any
anything at the end or?
I can give you the examples. That we have SH has done for other cities. It's all within the more specific customized type of service. That's reviewing the examples of it.
so I guess, we could make a motion.
I would make a motion to accept SEH's proposal as a non-competitive contract.
Okay, we have the first by Councilman Jornsted, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Shoemaker, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, we get a roll call, please.
Winston,
Yes.
Artivia,
Yes.
sorry, Artavia. And Shoemaker.
Madam Mayor, I know that with this proceeding, that SH did provide master service agreement with potential letter agreements rather than a standalone contract. And I think for this, what I'm gonna recommend is that we do is just a standalone contract and tell it we need to use this project. I'll work with SH to put something together.
And then, the city of Dakota, you'll be part of the process of getting out of that information.
And council members, yes, I can, work through with your contract and everything, kind of fits the needs of the city and has everything included that we're looking for.
Thank you.
We should be able to have something we should have the next meeting. Just without being.
Okay, thank you. Next, under new business, a proposed Jake break ordinance. And this is something that I put on the agenda. I don't know if you're aware that Bismarck has been discussing this and has put forth through the grants for Jake breaks. We do have some of this that either is currently happening or maybe in your packet could happen within the city limits in this area. So I just put it up here for discussion. I know there have been some concerns, some complaints voiced to me. And it was just kind of funny because it was right in line with Bismarck was talking about at the time. So you'll notice it in there. I have not changed it specific to Lincoln because at this point it's just a conversation. If council wants to go further with it. And if they do, then it would go to the attorney to correct the verbiage. And the case in point here is they got county rather than the city because it was just a county based from business.
I think we should move forward with this.
I agree. I think it's something that's fairly common for a lot of cities. I think my only question would be, would it be something we would want to have as no compression breaks at all times, or would it be like only evening night hours, like a time frame, but that could potentially muddy the waters, I think.
Can I talk on this just a second? I didn't know what you guys were going to talk about, so I didn't want to come up and talk before I knew what you were going to. So, my name's Brandon Shook. I live down by the railroad tracks, and in the mornings, they come down there with jake brakes. There is no need for a jake brake with our speed limits in this city. There's no need for a jake brake, so I would just put it on all the time. That's mine. I mean, there's no need for them to be coming 30 miles an hour and needing a jake brake. I've driven trucks. I work for a company that has a lot of trucks, and there's no need for it, so I would suggest you guys just put it on all the time. People don't want to hear it in the middle of the night when cattle haulers go through. They don't care what time it is, so that's my opinion, so thanks.
I would like just a little bit of time to look into this a little bit further and review it, so I would suggest that maybe we could table this and just have a little bit of time to review and sort of educate ourselves in some. This, I want a little bit more time on it. This isn't a first reading or anything like this, it's just a discussion. I had to honestly look up what a jake brake was. I did not know, and when the semis come back, or like when I ride my bike and I would downshift it. That's what that is. It would deal with eliminating that noise. So.
What I would suggest is that we won't take any action on this unless there's just put on the agenda. If it is put on the, well, it's gonna be on the agenda. We won't take any action unless someone asks us to bring a draft, in which case your draft, otherwise I'll wait until I've had an opportunity to change the acceptable.
I guess I would have any problem. I guess we'll do this one next week. Review it. At that time, decided to have a draft.
Is there a is it proper to have a first reading if there's no change to, can we look at this and say, okay, this would be a change, or is that premature to?
Madam Mayor, I before you do a first reading, I would really like to overview this a little bit more than what I have. And there are two things in here that I think need to be changed. And one is the reference to prohibited areas.
Yes.
I don't know that we want the city to create an ordinance that's going to require signage. I think that it's either going to be, should either be all the time or certain hours, but not based on posting, because then there's going to be expensive posting signs. Do that for a city, and I understand as a county where that might be a advisable process.
So even if we did within the city or its ETA, so, well, we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I just like, we could make those changes, but I just want to make sure this fits in with the rest of the, with the rest of the code is set up. So I would like to have he's going to take charge of these types of ordinances. And I can't go speak with.
Councilman Shoemaker, what are your thoughts on the jake brake ordinance as a whole?
I think it'd be a good thing to put in place, like Mr. Strickland said, with our speed limits, nobody's going from 70 miles an hour down to 45. We're gonna be obnoxious. Here's what we're doing. Very big power.
My only question, if you want us to come with a draft ordinance, I mean, I don't think it's going to take much to finalize this, but if you'd like us to do that, so that's on the agenda for your consideration. Yes.
I don't have any opposition to that.
We will do that. We'll get something together and circulate it. And I might just be making two changes to this. So.
Number 11, Kobe means Boomridge, snow placement and drainage utility easement issue.
Good evening, and I guess I'm just here to bring it to the attention again to the city that, so as far as I understand, I live at 119 Clark Road, and they built all this housing behind my house. And as of, I moved in 4 years ago, and the first year I didn't have any water issues. And since they built those houses, now we have water issues every spring and every time it rains more than an inch. And then they also, as far as I understand, they're also supposed to, when they do snow removal back there, they are supposed to take the snow and haul it out. And instead, they push it back right into my yard. So I'm just wondering kind of where the city stands on that.
Which one first? Shall we go with the snow? That's probably the easiest to address.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Who is pushing snow into your yard?
wherever they have do their snow removal back there, I'm not sure.
Are we talking the city or are we talking some other
No,
private?
so I believe it would be, it must be whoever's renting out the properties.
Okay. So Madam Mayor, I guess as to that question, that's not a city issue. That's
Okay.
that's a private issue. If somebody is changing the natural drainage to cause additional drainage onto your property with snow or pushing snow onto your property, that's really, I think, a private issue between you and someone performing those.
Okay,
Thank you. My assumption was straight away that it was public record.
and I'm not sure who actually does the snow removal back there.
This is Director Schill.
Maybe. So with the snow removal, we talked with Verity Homes about that whole development there. And we came to an agreement on that the snow removal, they were to not put it at the end of those roads. They were to take it out and bring it around and put it on the boulevard for the snow removal. So they shouldn't be putting it back there. So, because we had a meeting here in the council room and we all agreed on not putting it back there because of the drainage. So they should be taking it out, bringing it around and putting it out onto the boulevard area and kind of spreading it out along there. So that's something you might want to bring up to them, talk to them, so.
But do I understand correctly that the city's involvement in this is just to kind of facilitate the resolution between the various property owners?
Yes, we had a conversation about the whole drainage issue and all that, and where they were putting the snow and how it wasn't helping out the issue with the drainage.
Right.
So the city agreed to have them bring it all out to the road and then bring it out to put it onto the boulevard and kind of just spread it out along the boulevard. And if they're not doing that and they're pushing it into the back again, they're not doing what they said that they were going to do in the first place. What we all agreed upon, so.
Probably that easement you're referring to, that the utility easement, the drainage easement, who has jurisdiction over that? That utility easement, the city has jurisdiction on it, or who's?
I guess my question, Councilman, is when you say jurisdiction over, what do you mean? Typically what, and Greg, but typically what that drainage issue would be is that it would allow for water to run from one property to another. So the property where the drainage is coming from would be the benefited parcel, and the property subject to drainage would be the burden parcel. And I guess that burden parcel basically agrees that it will accept the drainage. But I don't know when you say jurisdiction over, I guess I'm not sure what you're asking.
I'm asking if there's a city ordinance in place, like for instance, where a homeowner cannot build permanent structures in a drainage easement. If that was being violated, would it be the city's duty to correct that violation of said ordinance? How would the city do about that?
I think it depends on if it's a public easement or if it's a private easement between the two landowners. And I think if it's part of a stormwater plan and somebody is blocking that, I think it would be a city issue. But if for instance, if between the two private property owners, they have one private piece of private property has an easement from the neighbor's property and there's a dispute between those two private owners, I don't think that's a city issue. It really depends on what the easement. who benefits from these? Do I have that right, Greg?
Yeah, that's correct. Uh, Mayor and council members, just to expand on that a little bit more, it's easements are usually set up to, like Monty mentioned, who has kind of ownership or who the beneficial parties are. Generally, when it becomes a public easement, would be if we've got drainage from the street or public right of way that has to drain back through an area and then out to another area. That becomes a public easement because it's public waters. Utility easements are typically for those utility companies. Stormwater easement in this case is just managing, handling the runoff from those properties that are within that area. It's really not picking up any of the city or public waters. So in this case, it would be essentially all private.
Does that answer your question?
Kind of,
Thank you.
so it wouldn't be a city easement then, it wouldn't be owned by the city? Whether it's a sewer or a water runoff or a utility easement?
Without looking at what you're talking about, but it sounds like what it is a easement that was put in place by the developer, so that one piece of property, private property in the development could drain its runoff to another piece of private property in development, so the person who has the benefited parcel has a place for the water to go, and the person with the burden parcel has to accept that water. And then if that's the case, then it's purely a private issue between those two landowners, wouldn't be a city issue.
Okay, so I would have to talk to them about the water problems then.
If your neighbor's property is supposed to be burdened by a drainage easement and they've done something to take away that right, then yeah, that would be an issue between the two private owners to figure out how to get that resolved.
Okay. That answers my question.
I think I heard it right. It's only a city matter of the stormwater management plan. It just found that they're in violation of it.
Again, without knowing exactly what easement we're talking about, generally, I think that's correct, right? We have to look to see whether this is a public, like Greg said, a public easement or whether it's really a private easement between two a benefited parcel and a burdened parcel. That's normally how easements run, where one parcel is given a benefit at the expense of another parcel, and that's how private easements work.
So then how would I figure that out if it's a public or private?
You have to look at probably a flat map or going to the title records for that property and see what the easements look like. Normally easements will indicate which is the benefited parcel and which is the burden parcel, not all. Sometimes access easements are different, but you have to go into the land records and might look at them.
Okay.
And then if I'm correct, that would be at the county recorder.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you. Next up, we have the engineer report.
Mayor and council members, preparing a report for the month of February. We had pretty much regular meetings for council, MPO, and planning and zoning. Application reviews. No new development applications submitted. Update for Ridge Edition, Ridge Second Edition. They have turned in all their information that they need at this point, so they'll be able to move forward to the upcoming planning and zoning. And other applications, there's just a special use permit, which was the auto restoration shop. that's kind of reviewing, with Monty. And then go through the board investment. Eventually. And so in projects in process, at the next last meeting, we had kind of closed out the water reservoir water main project. And so just wanted to note on that everything is complete on that. Again, just warranty items will be the only thing outstanding, we move into spring and summer. And then sewer regionalization project. We had a meeting at the city of Bismarck, March 4th or Tuesday of this week, to discuss outstanding items. And there's some things where the city of Bismarck has adopted their industrial waste program, as an ordinance, and we'll be bringing that to council to do, accept, or I should say approve that ordinance here. It'll be part of the agreement that we'll eventually have with the city of Bismarck. So just kind of working through some of those items. They're going to provide us an updated or clean up ordinance, or not ordinance, but agreement. From I think it was last summer, was in spring was the last one they've given us. So they'll provide a new one, and we'll be able to go through that and turn back to the time, review and make sure that that's meeting our needs there as well. And just kind of an update on the brick grant. I've got asked Daniel Schwartz with Nexus to come this evening to provide additional information. They'll answer questions there as he works with them day in, day out. So, yeah.
Thank you for the kind words. Hi, Commissioner. I have a lot of you, but my name is Daniel Schwartz. My company is Nexus. Basically, let me just say this. The previous presidential administration had one way of doing things. Our new presidential administration has a way of doing things that is very, very different than the other. So our grant is quite literally caught in the middle of the bureaucratic paper mess. That's literally what the delays are, and that's the best way I can tell you as to why it's been the way that it's been. Okay. I think everyone in the room, I'm not pointing sides, but we are living in political turmoil, a little bit of unstable time. So what I was told from the Department of Emergency Services is that basically with the anticipated changes to the federal structure of for the employees, is that they are basically taking these grants, wrapping them up and pushing them out to get them off the books so that they don't end up in a perpetual state of administrative, what did this die out completely, and it's on a shelf somewhere, no one knows where it is. So aside from that, I do have a couple of handouts here for you. Oh, yeah, I just say, just teach the league. Basically what this is. Yeah, so grab, this is for me, and then this, yeah.
I did too.
Yes. So the cover letter, I'll look at yours, is essentially a letter from the city of Bismarck. It is from the floodplain administrator. His name is Brady Polskowski. He's also the building official. They basically have approved our project for the floodplain development application that we submitted. That is federally required to clear on this project. So just this one was dated March 6th. So it was just was yesterday. So this is the latest that we got on the project. And then the previous one, the one dated February 21st, that is basically a summary of what's called a request for information. That is the latest information that FEMA asked of us. And these are the questions that we responded in summary form. Just so you know that this is our latest correspondence with FEMA Region 8 and the federal employees that are directed to handle our grant application. I'll give you a minute or two to look those over. If anyone have any questions or anything right off the bat.
that we'll be going through an entire year before we start tackling the odor control.
Number three on the letter with the red, the schedule that was provided, that was in October of 2024. So every time that we have a delay, a month of delay, it just pushes us back exactly 1 month. So that's the communication we have with them. So just take those and just move it to current. So the person getting the application review, that would basically be the April of 25. So we just kind of keep pushing it back 1 month to be current with the, I don't want to keep saying delays, it's so negative, but the time that we're waiting for our approval. So. We had a meeting, Greg, it was on Monday with DES. Or was it last Friday, that impromptu really quick meeting, anyway, we had that meeting with them and we were verbally told. That they have every single piece of information that they would need, and it's just at the regional in Denver and DC for the review process. So if I may just speak so eloquently and say it is not on us, it is entirely on the federal government that we're waiting on. There's not one thing that we need to look, we've met every requirement that they need or that they've asked of us. So quite literally, that's just it. One thing to notice, if you go into this letter right here, the statement packet, page 2 is the current cost estimate update. And what's really nice about this cost estimate update is when you put it into the benefit cost software for the grant, because that is one requirement of FEMA, is that every project at any point before grant award has to be cost beneficial. And with the new cost benefits and the population growth of the city, there is no question that it's still cost beneficial. So there's no issue there at all. They won't tell us that until it's officially in the grant award, so they just tell me to tell you. So I can't show me anything perfectly, so I gotta play it safe, right? So they.
There's nothing any council members can do to help motivate or move this in any way.
So Mayor Berger, we talked about this, so let me say this, if you wanna talk to FEMA and express any frustrations, concerns, hopeful thoughts, insights, whatever. The best way to do it is to go through Greg and I, and the reason why I say that is, the true applicant of this application is the state of North Dakota. So they're the applicant to the federal grant program, we are subs underneath them, so anything that goes on, we have to follow the chain of command, we have to go to the state emergency services, they go to regional in Denver, then Denver goes to DC. Just so that no one is missed, so if the city were to go do a letter directly to FEMA, that probably would actually hurt the process. Rather than help, because then you would bypass states and other federal people, and then a lot of people would probably be a little bit irritated by that. So, but I'm not discouraging you, so if you want to do something like that, we would be more than happy to help you put a letter or some correspondence or something together, whatever it may be. So that's entirely up to you. I gave you my cards. If you want to start emailing me some ideas or whatever, I can start putting a draft together. We can do an email chain or whatever you'd like to do. As long as it just comes from directly, city goes to us and then to the state, and the state will run it up from there.
Because we certainly don't want to hinder the process or add another 2 years onto the project, so.
And you're former military, so you know this kind of the continuity, yeah.
Yes.
And
Roads
very
are
aware.
sensitive.
Yes, very aware.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Did you have anything else? Yours? Okay, perfect. So now we will start with our portfolios. Councilwoman Artadia.
Well, we had a very nice award ceremony on Friday night for the Lincoln PD. And our chief is here to help give us a little rundown of how that went.
Mayor. It was great. It was a phenomenal event Friday night, the 28th. We celebrated our officers for their achievements throughout the year, as well as years of service. So for those in attendance, thank you very much for being there. For those of you that missed it, we'll see you next year. It's a lot of fun. It was a good event. And like I said, my favorite part about it is we get to celebrate our officers for all their achievements. We handed out 3 life-saving awards. 2 of them went to Officer Alex Sauer for his life-saving efforts on 2 separate occasions, and one went to Officer Otterness for his life-saving efforts just in December. And then we celebrated 2 individuals who have over 5 years of service with the community, and that's a great thing to celebrate because it shows just how much they care about the community and want to keep it going. So it was a good event. I think we had just over 35 people, which was just phenomenal. We had community members come, which was really what I was happy to see. Other than that, I just saw Officer Edwards walk back into the office. So he's up and running and good to go. He's excited to be here. He just finished his, I think, 2nd week with us, and so he's still here and happy and enjoying it. So he's currently in the process of looking for a residence here in the community. So if you know anybody who's renting and or selling, let him know. And then other than that, we're happy to be fully staffed and ready to go. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Chief. We appreciate all that you're doing and all the hard work from the entire Lincoln Police Department. Also, I want to recognize Lincoln Fitness for their contributions to our department for memberships, also DJ's Pizza and Lounge for sharing the delicious meal with us, and Dakota Community Bank. Is Chief Thune here?
He had to go out for an emergency.
Oh, okay. If anybody has any questions about our rural fire department, any updates that I can share this information with you, or you can reach out to Chief. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, so Councilman Grinstead.
I have a list. Well, first thing on the list, and I don't know if I should be saying this, but the department has started putting away some of the snow equipment. We're definitely getting some more moisture, but hopefully it comes in the form of rain. They've been working on organizing the back lot. I know here a couple weeks ago, brought in a lot of that mastic that's going to be used for doing this road work this summer. That will be a good improvement for our community. They've been working on cleaning some storm drains. They're cleaning more that they still have to jet out. Cleaning rocks along Lincoln Road, along the drainage there. Started pothole patching. They would like to start working on sweeping the streets next week, so that people could avoid parking on the streets as much as possible. That would really help them to be able to do a good efficient job at cleaning up the roads. Let's see here, just kind of a note, I'm hoping to put some information together for the next meeting regarding people parking on not solid surfaces. I know there's an ordinance that was passed a little while back as far as like having camper pads, etc., rather than just parking vehicles on grass. So I'd like to collect a little information on that, and as well as rocks along the boulevards to see if there's any more that the city needs to do as far as enforcing ordinances there, making sure that people aren't setting up areas with rocks and stuff along the streets, because I know they had issues in the past where a lot of the rock was spilling over onto the roadways and causing issues. So just gonna try to get a little more information together there for the next meeting and see if we can have some discussion. The Public Works Department has been working on trying to sell an old riding lawnmower. They had it on the website to sell, and the reserve wasn't met. I believe the reserve was set at 3,500. We did have somebody reach out saying that they would be willing to pay that amount for the mower, but they didn't want to go through the website on doing that. Now, my understanding is that anything over $3,000, the city has to approve for the sale. If it's not going through, what's the name of the website again?
Gov Deals.
The Gov Deals website. So what I would like to do, if there's no objection to the council, I'd like to make a motion to allow the Public Works Director to reach out to this person and do a private sale for the old lawnmower.
Are we, is that legal for us to do without, can we do that, Attorney Rockerty, with just
Ordinance right now
Oh, definitely.
Mayor, so we did post a mower. We put it in the paper, we've done all that stuff, we did all of our due diligence with it. We posted the mower twice on Gov Deals, and it hasn't reached our, reserve on it. And then this final time, this guy reached out to us and asked to buy it. And we have done this in the past where it didn't reach the reserve and we had, where the person next in line that was bidding on it, we sold it to them. So, I thought that we could just go through that whole process again, where we brought it to council. They approved the sale of it again, and we just went through that whole thing and just sold it to the guy outright, and they just writes us the city a check for it, so. I wasn't trying to pull a whole new system over, I was just trying to do a new,
no,
and I
I just-
redo. No, I'm not saying you redo that, I was like, I'm just trying to do a system again. So we can get it sold, so we can make some money back, because. Right now, nobody wants to pay what we're asking for it, because it's worth way more than what we are asking for it, and we're just not getting anything on Gov Deals, and I don't wanna sell it for nothing.
Well, and my asking was more so if it is legal, to make sure that we have that documented or relayed to the public, so nobody comes back to us later and says we didn't do
Question is,
it.
have we published
Yes,
in the newspaper? for
Yes.
the second weeks?
yep, before I posted it on Gov Deals, we did all that already.
What is the highest bid based on the publication?
The highest bid that we've got is $3,300. And this guy will give us 3,500,
He's
yes.
trying to understand why isn't his bid just accepted?
The 3,000, because we put a reserve on it for $3,500, and he didn't bid up that high, because. He also has to take into consideration when you bid on Gov Deals, you don't just pay the city, you also pay Gov Deals 12.5%. So you also have to pay them $500 on top of whatever you pay the city. So nobody wants to pay that extra 12% to them. So everybody's trying to get everything dirt cheap on that site. So he's offering to just pay us outright of $3,500, what we are asking for it, not on that site, because he was the next highest bidder. He just will not go higher than the $3,300, but he will give us the 3,500, not on Gov Deals.
I'm not quite sure I understand the process that we're using, right? Because the 10708, which is the section that has for the public sale of real or personal property, when a public sale is required. So you have a notice containing description of the property be sold, the place where, the day and hour when the sale will be held. So that would be a bidding, if you're going to do it through bids. I mean, I don't have a problem if you want to, since you advertised it and you bid it, to sell it. I don't know if you're having a problem, but we should look at a way of streamlining this so that we advertise it and ask for bids and give them bids, and whatever the high bid is, if it's accepted.
Yeah, he was one of the bidders, then he reached out to me. I don't know who bids on it, because it only gives me 2 letters, and then it's just, so I can't reach out to anybody or anything. So they have to reach out to me to ask. So after the bid was all done and everything, he reached out to me and asked me and told me that he would pay me.
When you're ready to sell the next thing, let's have a conversation about streamlining it. I think just advertising it in the paper, I don't think you need to run through a bidding site. I think just sell it directly to a buyer, to advertise it next time bids.
Okay. Because, I mean, when it's not a big thing like that, it's not bad, but it's when it's when it gets to be high dollar price like that is where the problem comes in, where people don't want to pay that extra $500-600.
I don't know what that's.
So, okay,
So we can add this individually. That's great.
Basically advertised, it was advertised for sale,
Mhm.
and this is the highest bid.
right now, he's bidding to pay us $3,500 outright right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
But I guess I would have my vote on the table.
I'll second the motion.
Second, first by Councilman Kernstead, second by Councilwoman Artavia, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And if we can get the roll call, please.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Harrison.
Yes. The next thing I had on my list was thankfully looking to see if we want to address that dollar amount where anything above $3,000 counts as essentially we want to possibly increase that with the price of things today. I know Director she did brought up the number of possibly moving that up to 5,000. Would any council members have an objection to increasing that number to 5,000? So it's
No offhand, excuse me, Mayor, is that sort of part of the course for any of the different portfolios and procedures? Like for other departments?
I don't know.
It would be a change. No, there would be a change to the ordinance, right? So the ordinance sets a threshold where under $3,000, it can be sold in the open market, which is the council. If it's about 3,000, you got to follow this process. After before you brought up changing it, it makes sense from the administrative time standpoint to raise that threshold to some higher number, just to avoid the expense of the advertising. Administrative.
Is how many things you can get.
It would-
Buy for $3,000.
It would apply across the board to all dispositions of buildings, state property, the city.
So fine, we.
It would be a discussion at this point. So like I said, we'd have to go through and change the actual ordinance for it, so. That have
Have you taken a look at what the other cities?
I haven't yet, this was just brought up. Okay, so I can definitely do some more checking. Look at something. Putting that on my next week.
Steps. I reached out to the city of Mandan and I talked to their office, I think, I don't know what their director's name is, but it may be Shane. That's what she said. He is supposed to be getting back to me to email me kind of what they changed all of their pricings to on their purchasing, selling, bidding, all their number, kind of what they changed their stuff to with to coincide with what the state does with their purchasing and everything. So as soon as I get that, I will email that to Derek and just include the mayor on that stuff. So then you guys can take a look at that. So and then you can send that to whoever else and look it over. So okay. Thank you.
Public works part of it is looking at the for the effective. And hopefully at the next council meeting, we'll have a set date on that. The only other thing I have is I had a chance to attend the planning and zoning meeting on the 25th, and the board member Elizabeth Bonnie was able to give a little update on comprehensive plan on what was discussed at the last meeting regarding widen roadways, school location, the city center, all of that. And I want to make sure everybody knows that there's gonna be another meeting on this Saturday. That 8th at 1 p.m. and I believe it's here, correct?
DJs.
It is at, okay.
At the DJ's Pizza.
Um. Please, if you have any insight, any thoughts, wishes for how you want to see the city expanding, developing, please make sure you come. It's a very informal meeting, people are discussing things, getting ideas out there, so the planning and zoning board can put this together and update a comprehensive plan. Anything you want to see in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Get the ideas out there so they know what the citizens want and can hopefully move in that direction.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all.
That's a. That's a lot. Okay, so under mine, go ahead. Oh, I am so sorry, you're not. You're not. Apologies, Councilor Shoemaker.
So a few more on to next week, but I did go to the Economic Development Committee meeting this week, a great meeting. We have a $20,000 grant for performing a study, but they only need, they asked for a bid from Next Move Group out of Florida. Bismarck used the same group to do a housing study, a senior living study, and a child care study for Lincoln. So they're going to move forward with that, looking for some direction for us on how to apply the grant. So they have pocket, they're reimbursed out of their own funds from the grant. They just want to make sure that the grant doesn't go into the city's general fund. And it's used for this survey. So that's very good news. We're also going to meet with you, Mary's marketing class on March 11th at 11 a.m. At the School of Business, you, Mary, to discuss performing other services for the city of Lincoln from a marketing standpoint. Surveys on what the city may need for doing some volunteer work at the city, bring up the logo as well. So it was a great meeting, and that's talked about the comprehensive plan coming up at 1 p.m. in DJ's. Other than that, that's all.
Okay. And now under my portfolio, I'd like to just piggyback a little bit on Councilman Shoemaker. The city, and like we've talked multiple times, updating the logo. And if there's anyone in the community that would like to submit an idea, you are completely welcome to do that. It would be nice if we could possibly have a handful from the community to put online and maybe have a vote on what we would like to see the city's logo to look like. So if you have any, send it in to anyone on council, Councilman Shoemaker, and we can bring it forth to council. So we have a need for more administrative space in City Hall. We need more space for the police department. And I propose expanding the current City Hall for the short term and to begin the legwork, looking for land for the city to build on. It is going to be a process, but expanding this current building would allow time to find land, develop a blueprint for what that's going to look like, and save some more than money. We do have money that was set aside in our budget for purchasing of a building that did not come to fruition. So that money would be kept or is still earmarked for city buildings. So at this point, then we're gonna have to build. But in the interim, if we were able to build onto this building, that might give us maybe a 5-year buffer to save some extra money, and find a place to build. So I'm just asking for direction from council, to start the process of putting information together, ideas.
I think it'd be fine just to see what our options are as far as expanding this building. I know there's been some discussion on the police department using the buildings for the north here as well. And yeah, basically just seeing what our options are moving forward.
So I will do that. I have talked to the police chief about the building also. And so between the two come with different proposals, and he had also mentioned this building also, and how the nice thing is putting the money into this building will be the Band-Aid that the city administration needs, but it will serve nicely after we were able to build a new city hall, because it would be big enough to house the police department and under real meetings, so it would not be by any means waste of any money. So I will start looking more at that. The respective quarterly council newsletter signals. I had mentioned at the last, and that it might be more beneficial to go at the end of the quarter so we could get an update. The city's timeline, I believe, is the first week of that month to have things together for the insert, the utility. So if everybody would maybe get that in, what their snippet for their portfolio would be for the newsletter, maybe by the next meeting, March 20th, so we have time to play with it. And if you want to do any of the work on that newsletter, design it, you're graphically savvy, I'm certainly not holding on tight to that newsletter. So, and obviously anybody in the community, if you want to be part of this process, that's wonderful. Also, let me know if there's anything you would like to see in that newsletter. I have not received any changes to the portfolios or what they make up or what the makeup would be from anybody. So I'm going to go on the assumption that my transcribing.
I'll look at mine and go on tonight, and if there's anything that needs to change, I'll make sure to let you know.
Do that. Yeah, and I think I got everything from what y'all said, but yes. And then what I'll do is at the 20th meeting, I will bring the council handbook for you to take home, preview, when we can start the process of finalizing the updates to that. Still working on the post office denial. So our engineer is working with MPO to compile some of the data for that appeal. So that's still on the table. And I suspect that's it for me, unless you don't have any questions. Okay. Auditor Wilson.
I just have a couple things. I was asked today again about the delinquent accounts in the Apple Creek mobile home community. Attorney Rockaby has been gone, so we have not gone further with that at this point. He's going to look into what options we have, to maybe get it collected and taken care of. I also was asked to bring in an amount, because it's in the process of billing right now. I don't really have, the exact amount, so I can do that at the next meeting and announce exactly, excuse me, what amount it is delinquent. We have had some people come in and pay. They said they weren't aware that they, hadn't been set up, and there's been all kinds of things. So we will be working on that to see what our options will be or can be. The other thing is, back to the state audit, they were hoping to be done at the end of February for the 22-23 audit. She had some more questions, on Monday. I was out Monday. Tuesday, Tammy and I went over some of those items with the state auditors. So it's in their review yet, and they're hoping to get it done soon. Other than that, I am going to introduce, Ashley. She decided to come and share a meeting with us. She's our new office administrator at the front desk. So if you'd like to just stand and say hi, this is who will be at the front desk, is Ashley. Doing well. And other than that, Tammy and I just have some things to work on and make sure that all of our numbers and stuff that go into the budget are correct, and we're gonna be reviewing that and moving forward and getting that in. And that is all I have at this time.
Okay, one thing that I did forget to mention, I was contacted by Dakota Aged Iron Club. And they will be having a tractor trek, and it's gonna go from the Buckstock Junction. They're gonna come up 66 and then through Lincoln. They're gonna stop at Tumbleweed on their way out past, I believe it's gonna be over by the airport. Just a bunch of tractors, everybody riding through, so PD will be informed of all of that, Public Works, so we're aware. But they're just wanting everybody to come out, say hi. They're gonna park the tractors there. All the kids that wanna come and say hi, they can jump up. They said they can touch and sit and do all of that. So that's gonna be on Saturday, May 31st. More information will come through that. So anybody else have anything to add? All right, well, with no other business, it is 7:20 and this meeting is adjourned.